Another artist that released music this week. This is a new artist. One of those artists who has had a really good following in the past year, 2 3 years. He also had a hit song. What 2 years was it? Last year, I will say. Yeah, he had a hit song last year. Um, the song titled "War War," right? And I mean, that really put him out there on the scene, had people talking about him. He just released his very first album. Yeah, oh, the War he actually released in 2022. So that's from like 2 years ago. Had a lot of people, kind of really a lot of attention on him with that song, and that's how I knew him as well. 2 years later, he has an album out titled "By All Means." His name is Minz. That's Minz. Minz, new artist on the block, and the album titled "By Any Means." And I think if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know what I'm about to say. That how we grade first timers in the industry is a lot different, right? The requirement or the bar is different for established artists than it is for new artists who are just coming into the industry. Like, if you don't believe in that statement, then you don't even know what you're talking about, because it's the way the industry is. For most artists, they're trying to find who they are, trying to solidify themselves, find their sound. You have to see that way as well. So with Means, it had this new album out titled by Any Means. And well, real quick, let me first of all say this was a nice sounding album. This album sounded very nice, very cool, like very cohesive, right? I understood what the goal was here. You're not trying to shake anything. You're not trying to do anything out of the ordinary. Stick to something simple, in the sense that it's more of I like the R&B ish feel throughout the whole project. I kind of liked it, and the thing is, it's like there's a new player on the field. And what you can do is don't give wrong passes. You're a midfielder. What you're supposed to do is hold up the ball, keep your team in possession, give short passes. You don't need to do anything incredible. Use your inside foot to throw pass over this. And I think that was what this album was. This album, there were no turnovers here. It was, give me, I wouldn't say bare minimum, because that would do a disservice to the production on this project, which is high, like top-notch production, right? Top-notch production, not just in like the beat or whatever, like just in the sonically, it just sounded really good. From song to the next song, it just sounded really good. Now, another thing is, nothing extraordinary stood out to me from the from the artistry, either from the delivery or anything that kind of jumped out to me and said, oh my goodness, not even like amazed me or surprised me, but anything that just kind of be like, oh wow, Means, I hear that, right? There wasn't anything that kind of stood out to me in that way. But for a first album, a new artist on the block, I mean, I'm not expecting all of that. I'm not expecting too much. I just expect you to come in, give us your, the best you can do right now. Stamp your identity on the listener. Sort of, it is what you're expecting from that, right? Where you're letting us know, this is who I am as an artist. At least for now, this is who I am. This is my identity. And I got all of that. Like the album was almost, I was almost like, oh my God, this is too much. It's like you're eating donut, right? You're like, oh, this donut is sweet. But then when you start to take like 4, 5, 6, 7, you're like, oh, like it becomes like, oh my gosh, too sweet. I don't want to have any more. Sort of was how I felt about this, right? It was a really good listen. I'm not gonna lie to you, really good listen. That even after the album ended, I just let it play to start out, like the album start over again, right? I was like, it didn't feel tiring. It didn't feel like I wanted to just turn it off. I could listen to the album again. I could give it the second listen, right? And that was what it felt like. I mean, no turnovers here. You do what you're supposed to do. You give the short passes. You hold up the ball. You keep your team in possession. Like, I mean, anyone who understands the game of soccer can know that if a young artist, a young player who is a midfielder comes in and does that, that is incredible. And that's how I see him as well. He came in, gave me, really, I mean, a decent on the verses, just nothing out of the ordinary, what you expect from a pop, like, verse today, I am my papa, my mama, God do one for me, just, the regular stuff. I mean, and these are not like bad, it's not a bad thing. These are really good. You are not, I mean, if he came in and he was trying to tell me, oh, I can do rap, I can do reggae, I can do dancehall, I can do afrobeat, I mean, that would have been chaotic, which is what a lot of artists come in trying to do. But here he just came in and, gave you this is me, this is my sound, this is who I am. And for someone who, if you have your ears to the ground and you recognize these things, you'd be like, that is good. That is good. I compare him to the first couple of matches that Meno, who is a Manchester United midfielder, actually, the first few games that he played. The game was so simple. Nevertheless, it was effective, right? You could easily pick him out and say, wait, he's not giving you or dribbling like David Silva or Kevin De Bruyne, but he's doing what you expect from a midfielder, right? And kind of like that's what I see with Minz here. This is what you expect from a new artist. I'm really impressed with this. Just sonically, this album sounds really good. I'm probably going to still listen to it again this week. Not necessarily to like to give my take or to look for something, but just listen to it and just enjoy it. Right, the album is that good where you listen to it and you just enjoy what what you're hearing. So I commend him for that. I commend the team, and I'm not looking forward to anything new. I'm sure he's going to be putting out videos and all of that to just stamp himself in the industry. I don't expect them to do any less. Definitely, he's got my attention. I mean, if you're especially a new artist, you can come in, drop on an album, and it sounds really good. I mean, that is the first step. You put it, and I mean, you get the fans to know you, and they're not like, oh, who is he? They're like, oh, this is who he says he is. We're gonna take him, at his word. Kind of like how I feel about him, right now. So his name is Minz, Minz. He has a new project out titled By Any Means. It's a really good listen. I will say you should go check it out for sure. It's one that I'm excited for him. And what the future would look like. This is a good first step. This is a good foundation. And if he were to come out tomorrow, with what I've heard, he's the kind of artist where if I hear that he has an album tomorrow, I will be very, very curious. I would run to it to know what next he's got. What else has he got to offer? Like, I'm that excited about his future. I'm that excited about him. I don't think we've heard everything that he can give, for sure. I think there's still more that he can offer, that he can give. I just feel it in the music, because this is such a good foundation. I think where he is right now, he's at a sweet spot where he can. There's so many places where he can go from here, that as long as they are original to him and he's comfortable there, he will be good. He'll be fine. It generally is what I think about him. Minz will be fine. I enjoy this project. Cannot wait for him to hear more from him. Wait for him in wait for more projects from him in the future. He's definitely a promising prospect. And it's interesting that what came to my mind is to compare him with Menu from Manchester United, who is turning out to be an incredible